Armegedon now.
Yo my G's, so today we're going to be configuring the Fanatec DD Plus ready for Gran Turismo. I'm going to run through each of the settings and what they do along with my adjustments. So let's get it. Right, so you can run these across different Fanatec wheels, these settings, obviously with minor tweaks. So first off on the wheelbase, the first setting we have is sensitivity, which changes the wheel angle and the turning degree of the wheel. We've got it on auto, we're still experimenting with it at the moment. I think we had it on 540 the other night, so we're still messing around with that. Next is the force feedback strength. We have this set to 51. Now this is to do with the in-game settings as well. So if you was to look here, for instance, you want a higher force feedback in the game. Mine's 8 out of 10, so you get the full force feedback signal, and then you can adjust it accordingly in the wheelbase. That's why mine is about 51. Obviously 100% is the 15 Newton meters. 51 is just over halfway. Fanatics say to have all the settings the other way around, but then you'll be missing out on the game info. So if I was to have the force feedback signal all the way low, for instance, all the way down here, and have it higher on the wheelbase, I'm missing out obviously all the information the game wants me to have. So it's best to have it high in the game settings and then adjust it accordingly on your wheelbase for the strength. Right, next we have natural damper. The higher the value, the harder it becomes to turn the wheel, but this helps with oscillation. So I have this on about 2 out of 100. So obviously we don't want it oscillating, but at the same time we don't want it to be hard to turn the wheel. We want to be whipping that wheel around, whipping that car into the corners. Next is natural friction. This is used to stimulate the mechanical feel of the wheels steering components. So the higher the setting, the more resistance you're going to feel when rotating the wheel. So I've got this on 10 out of 100. So your natural damper and natural friction basically go hand in hand to do with the strength of the steering and the oscillation on the wheel. Next is natural inertia. Now this simulates additional weight on the steering axis. So I have this on a 5 out of 100. So if you've got a light steering rim, you can turn it up just to get a bit more weight going through the wheel there. Next is force feedback interpolation. So this filters and smoothens out the incoming rough signals of the force feedback and increases the refresh rate. So I've got this on 3, as you want to balance the force feedback and the smoothness. You don't want it too high to scrub out all the force feedback effects. Obviously you want to feel all what the cars do in the road and whatnot. So next on the list is force feedback intensity. I've got this on 100%. Basically makes the smooth and sharp depending on your user preference. So for instance, if I was to come here again, so that force feedback intensity goes hand in hand with the force feedback sensitivity in the game. Depending how sharp and spiky you want them effects, you can smoothen it out with this and obviously adjusting it in the game. So I have it on 100% in the game and on 10 here. That is my personal preference, as I like to feel everything that is going on with the car and the road. Right, next is the force effect. This is the overall setting for everything we have adjusted on the wheelbase, kind of like a master setting. I have this set to 110. This is basically goes to 120, not 100 on this one. So we've got this at 110. Next is the spring effect. The spring effect we have off, and after that is the damper effect. That's also off, as these don't have any effects in Gran Turismo. So we just leave them for now. Right, next is the brake indicator. The brake indicator, we have got this on 100%. This is basically when the vibration motors kick in. If you've got ClubSport V3 pedals, So 100% is when I hit 100%, that's when the motors will kick in to signal to me that I have reached my full braking. And then the vibration, that's next on the list. We have that on obviously that is for the motors in the pedals. Next is the brake force. We have that on around 25%. That is configured with the Fanatec configuration settings on the PC as well. So you adjust it there and then come and adjust it on the wheelbase for your personal preference. So I've got a 25 for now. We're still experimenting with that. So they are the settings that I've got so far for the wheelbase. We've been playing for it just about under a week now. We're still experimenting, but that is kind of a sweet spot for me because it's strong, but it can still whip the car about. You don't want it too strong where you can't knock it fast into the corners. You just want to be able to whip it about. That's why having the sensitivity comes into play as well, when you can actually put the degrees of the wheel precisely how you want it. And yeah, still getting used to the brakes. Got to get a muscle memory for the load cell, but we'll get there in the end, my G's. So if you do have the Fanatec DD Plus or any others, experiment with them settings, and you can basically muck around and see what your taste or preference is. You never know, in a week or two's time I could change bits, but I've been getting some good lap times out of this at the moment and it feels comfortable. I'm not overexerting myself, fatiguing. And you're probably thinking, why have you got the 15 Newton meters if you've got it only down at 51, which is just over halfway? That is because even though the force feedback is lower, we're still getting all the information that the 15 Newton meters will provide, and all that detail, just a little bit weaker. So that's why you go for the higher Newton meter base and then turn it down so you can get all the nuanced effects that the higher torque Newton meter wheelbases provide, my G's. So those are my settings for the Fanatec ClubSport DD Plus for Gran Turismo. We've got it set up, I think, to a quite sweet spot now. We've only been running it about a week. If you did find that helpful and useful, my G's, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the flip side. It's Armageddon now, and the resistance